When Ronald Reagan said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall," it was a defining moment in the Cold War. In the game Twilight Struggle, the tear down this wall card can potentially have similar determinative power. We're going to take a look at it here today on Legendary Tactics. Tear down this wall is yet another card that the Americans can use to swing the balance of power in Europe. It's a card that many say is overpowered. So how does the US player take advantage? And how do the Soviets manage it? Let's take a closer look. Tear Down This Wall is a 3-op starred US late war event card. Triggering the event has a bunch of nasty effects. The first is that it cancels or prevents the Willy Brandt event card for the rest of the game. Next, the US adds 3 influence in East Germany, and then may make a free coup attempt or realignment rolls in Europe using this card's operations value. There's often a lot of confusion around the concept of a free coup. A free coup is one that can be done in a region regardless of DEFCON restrictions. It still lowers DEFCON if performed in a battleground country, but it does not receive mil ops for the mil ops track. This means that with Tear Down This Wall, a coup attempt would be possible in Europe, which is normally off limits for coups after DEFCON goes either to 4 or lower. For the Soviet player, you're going to have to send this card to the space race every time. Triggering the event results in an unpredictable but potentially disastrous result for you, not to mention the fact that if you are unwise enough to play it at DEFCON 2, it will cost you the game. Yes, it is a DEFCON suicide card. From a defensive perspective, the only thing that can really be done to protect against this event is to over-control East Germany and make sure that you have a good amount of influence in neighboring countries to ward off strong realignment rolls. It is unlikely that the US will take the coup offered by this event, as European stability is generally too high and it's a lot to gamble on one roll of the die. 3 operations points isn't quite strong enough for that purpose to make it a compelling choice either. Every battleground country will be potentially vulnerable to the realignments granted by this event, and while it can on rare occasions lead to the US eventually getting Europe control, it is more likely to give them domination, which is still bad for you from a victory point perspective. This means that you will have to fight for control of the key battleground country of Poland in the face of the mid-war event John Paul II elected Pope and the late war Solidarity event. Control of Czechoslovakia can also help in offsetting the realignment rolls that are likely against East Germany and Poland, if you have the ops to spare. It is always a good option to place there if you have extra influence to place in Europe, like from the Comic-Con event. Warsaw Pact Formed is another great event to help you here, provided it has not yet been triggered and has survived until the late war. It will allow you to replace lost influence, or to boot the US out of Eastern Europe if they are making inroads. Do whatever you can to keep this card in the deck until the late war. For the US player, this card is representative of the onslaught of great events that benefit you in Europe. After being static most of the game, the region returns in the late war as the centerpiece of US strategy. This card should lead to you flipping at least one European battleground, and hopefully weakening the Soviet position beyond that. Tear Down This Wall should be seen as a combo card that sets up your next play or two. Most times you don't want to play it in isolation unless you have a strong follow-up. Combine it with cards like Chernobyl, Solidarity, or East European Unrest, for example, to get the most out of it. Because of this, you may want to hold Tear Down This Wall until a later turn when you have other cards that help you in Europe. The key to taking this event is taking the realignment rolls. DEFCON considerations aside, not only is it hard to pull off a coup in Europe outside of Italy, you would be gambling a lot on a single roll. Better to take the 3 realignment rolls, even if it can't result in you taking control of any of the target countries. This is why a strong follow-up is important. France is likely a prime target, possibly Italy, and possibly East Germany. France you will probably already have good odds on, as you likely already control some neighbors. Italy is another option, but it depends on the board state. The USSR usually has a way back in via Austria or Yugoslavia. East Germany is a gamble, especially as you might realign away your own influence that was provided by the event. Make sure that you do realignments there only when you have a positive modifier or when you are willing to swallow the risk. As far as tear down this wall cancelling and preventing the Willy Brandt event, this is of marginal benefit but a nice bonus. So for the USSR, count your lucky stars if you got this in hand, and send it along promptly to the space race. This is not a playable event card for you. And for the US, this is a card that is key to shifting the balance in Europe in your favor, but it must be properly set up. Make sure that you have invested influence in Europe so that you can have a positive modifier on the realignment rules the event provides, and make sure this card is played in combination with one or two of your other strong Europe events. This has been our analysis of the Tear Down This Wall card in the game Twilight Struggle. We hope you got some value out of this, and if you did, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching. This is Legendary Tactics.